22 games remain in Season 2 here in the Bulls franchise. We're sitting at 23-37 and we're moving through the year as quickly as possible. Last episode, we got past the trade deadline and the All-Star break, where the Bulls weren't too involved, but we did see an entertaining battle between Donovan Clingan and Victor Wembanyama in the Rising Stars Challenge. To be honest, there isn't that many interesting stories left in the season, with the rosters finalized. I suppose it's possible to make it into the play-in, as we currently sit at the 12th seed in the East, which is not too far away from 10th. But I'm not sure how interested I am in that. We're still building our team, and the highest priority right now is draft positioning. Tanking is a dangerous game with the draft lottery, but the reality is, the number of games we lose out of our remaining 22 can determine whether we have a 3% chance or a 14% chance of winning the sweepstakes for the bona fide number one prospect Javon Boston, who could turn our franchise around immediately. We'll get to more scouting later in the video. I'm not going to force you guys to watch a tanking team for the most part, but I do want to jump into at least one more contest, that being the one against the surging young Trailblazers, who have former Bull Lonzo Ball. But before we get there, we have a few games to simulate first. We're able to beat the Trae Youngless Hawks by 30 points off of a masterful performance from Cole Anthony. And all of our key rotation players healed up over the All-Star break. Gary Trent is back, Patrick Williams is back. But we still cannot walk out of the game at full strength. Donovan Clingan pulled his lower back muscle and will miss 1 to 2 weeks. We then go 1-3 over our next 4. We do manage to beat the Heat by 2, and we were able to hit 18 three-pointers in the process. But we also got absolutely demolished by the Indiana Pacers, who shot 22 of 39 from deep against us. Hey, look at Hamidou Diallo. Looks like he found a new home with Indiana. Pat Williams has been in and out of the lineup quite a bit throughout this season, hasn't really been able to get into a rhythm, but his performance since coming back from injury has been really promising. He's been really hot from 3. And he scored 27 against the Pistons. And that brings us to the game we'll be playing, potentially the last game that I'm going to play for the rest of the season. The Blazers are really interesting and really fun. They're starting Lonzo Ball at the small forward position. Scoot Henderson has had a little bit of a sophomore slump, but he's still been a really solid player. And he's gotten a lot of help from guys like Shaedon Sharpe and DeAndre Ayton. I'm not sure if Ayton was an all-star this year, but he probably should have been. Cole Anthony gets things started with a crafty behind-the-back move. Now he pulls up from the mid-range, no good, tipped back in by Brandon Clark, who slides into the starting 5 position. Lonzo Ball, making his return to Chicago, missed the 3, but Jeremy Grant converts his try. Now here's Cole, dumps it off to Clark, and he's blocked by Ayton. The Blazers' defense has been really nasty this season. Scoot, not a knockdown shooter, but he can hit them when wide open like that. So can Patrick Williams. Good to have him back in the lineup. Lonzo laces the 3. Portland up by 5. As a Blazer fan, it's nice to see this team perform well as they harass Gary Trent Jr. into a turnover. On the other end, Lonzo Ball, step back 3 is good. But these Blazers basically have a top 5 seed in the West locked up. We'll see if they make some noise in the postseason. As Clark misses from the elbow, but Williams active on the glass, and he still can't finish. Finishing is still something to work on for him. Grant puts it in from the wing, and the Blazers are up by double digits. They are scorching hot from deep. And they've got active hands on defense. Can we get a shot off this time? We go to the free throw line. And Cole Anthony knocks down both. Shaedon Sharpe, open triple. We're giving them way too many of those. 20-8. We haven't cracked 10 points halfway through the quarter. Williams gets it to go from the block. We got Damian Jones getting backup center minutes right now. JG left open, and they're just making it rain right now. That's going to be a charging foul on Patrick Williams. He lost control of his body there. Anthony inside, out to Williams. Good for 3. He's got 7 early, more than half of our points. Grant blows by Jones and knocks it down from the free throw line. This is not close so far, but Damian Jones gets the easy slam inside. Williams is blocked, just absolutely bullied on that drive. Matisse Thybulle, when he's knocking down threes, it might be over for us. Williams drop step and gets it to go. Anthony Simons has been coming off the bench as he's battling an injury, but he gets that three to go. And one for Chris Murray. And the Blazers still doubling us up here in the first. Ant Simons, no good on the three. Can we gain some momentum back? Williams goes behind the back, misses the layup. Under 20 seconds to go in the quarter. Pull-up jumper from Ayo Dosunmu. We got the last shot. 1 second to go. Dosunmu from downtown. Not a pretty quarter for us, but it ends on a good note. Second quarter now. Jet Howard can't finish. Gets the ball back and puts it in. His efficiency has dipped over the course of the season, but he's still been a nice bench scorer for us. In transition, the lob to McDaniels. I really like our transition offense. Jeremy Grant hits a jumper. Kobe White throws it away to Matisse Thybulle. Sharp down the court, pulls up and sticks the jumper. Another bad pass. Breakaway for Sharp. He slows up and dunks on Howard. He had an easy lane and he decides to start skipping and galloping, waiting for Howard to get under him, and then he rises up and dunks on him. Diabolical stuff from Shaedon Sharp. We commit another turnover. Sharp scores. We're down by 16. Howard hits the free throws, but this is not looking good so far. Dosunmu, shadowed by Ball. Now McDaniels backing down Murray. Steps through. Misses the shot off the back rim. Henderson spins, pulls up, hits it from the free throw line. What a beautiful move. Now he scores inside, making it look easy. The onslaught continues. Grant gets his own board and puts it in, and it's now a 20-point game. And I just about had enough here. I thought I was going to play this whole game, but it did not look good. But guess what? We came all the way back. We're up by 5 with 1:25 to go. Gary Trent and Shaedon Sharp lead all scorers. Let's see how this one shakes out. Scoot Henderson inside to DeAndre Ayton. Runs away from Clark and lays it in easily. A big size advantage for Ayton there. Trent cuts to the rim and reverses it home. All we need to do is hang on to a 5-point lead. Lonzo misses up close, gets it back. Jeremy Grant cuts it to 2. 30 seconds to go in the game. Anthony trying to shake Henderson. Pulls up. No good. Timeout Blazers, and they've got a chance. And Billy Donovan's going to put the all-switchable lineup here. Dosunmu at the point, replacing Cole Anthony. Shot clock is off. Here's Lonzo. Henderson at the top of the key, guarded by Ayo. Scoot could tie it with a 3. Around the screen for Ayton. Goes right, goes up, and hammers it! Scoot Henderson, are you serious? Bulls trying to push it down the floor quickly, and we throw it away. That was just an embarrassing sequence for Chicago. But there was no stopping Scoot here. One of the most athletic players we've ever seen overpowers us. And he sends McDaniels tumbling. That ties the game. And then we do this. This was pathetic. What a horrible pass from Ayo Dosunmu. I wanted to get the numbers advantage and it backfired. Blazers no timeouts, can't advance it. Scoot for the win! No! Good! And we're going to overtime. We really have had some memorable moments this season, even though we haven't had the most success. We've been on the winning and losing end of some of those crazy plays. Here in overtime, Sharp, open for three. Let's see if we can hang with this team for 5 more minutes. Clark misses up close, gets it back. Dosunmu up top to Trent on the wing. He gets it poked free by Lonzo Ball, the pickpocket. Taking it all the way, no good, put back in by Henderson. He is sensational. He really does look like a young Russell Westbrook here. Active on the glass and just ready to punish any defender. Plays with a competitive grit. Williams misses the open triple. We're down by 5. Clark gets the feed and the flush. Grant fouled by Clark. That looks straight up. And Billy Donovan wants to take another look. Yeah, that looks straight up to me. In no world is that a foul. Clark's pissed about it. Rightfully so.
The ruling on the floor stands.
Still haven't gotten a call overturned in this game. Will it ever happen? Cole Anthony takes it all the way to the rack. Cuts it back down to 3. Grant misses the floater. Rebound Ayton. Lonzo no good on the 3. Rebound Ayton. Grabbing everything in sight, and it leads to a sharp jumper. 5-point game again. Clark rolling to the rim, gets it to go. Ayton got a lot of elevation on that finish. Playing from behind. Williams had to hit that 3. He did not. Closing in on a minute to go. Sharp to Lonzo. It's good. That might have been the dagger. Gary Trent to Pat Williams. Off the mark again. Grant takes it all the way. And that's about all she wrote. Dosunmu sinks the 3. Too little, too late. Henderson. Step back, adding insult to injury. The Blazers win it by 9. They got out to a big lead. Lost it, but regained control in overtime. Gary Trent Jr. had a really nice game for us. So did Brandon Clark, but obviously wasn't enough. The 3-guard lineup of Sharp, Henderson, and Ball, with Simons coming off the bench, is really, really dangerous. Especially when Jeremy Grant plays like he did today. And for the Bulls, it's just same old, just another loss as we try to push through the end of this season and look to next year. And with that said, I think this is a great time to check back in on the scouting scene. Let's see what's going on in college basketball right now. With the culmination of the conference tournaments, the 68-team March Madness field is set. Let's take a look at the results from those conference championships, starting with the American Athletic Conference, where Memphis beat Houston 76-69. Thanks to 21 points from guard Brendan Isley, the Tigers used a 13-2 run over the game's final 6 minutes to down the Cougars. Houston was led by big man Ja'Cory Wesson, who scored 17 points with 11 boards. In the Atlantic 10 Championship, VCU was little match for Davidson, who completes an undefeated A10 slate with an 81-51 win over the Rams, led by 31 points from wing Donnie Trice. Notre Dame caps off an unlikely ACC tournament run and punches their ticket to the big dance thanks to 18 points and 7 assists from Jalen House in a 65-61 win over Duke. Duke was unable to slow House's second-half onslaught as the potential lottery pick scored 12 of his 18 in the game's final 8 minutes. David Sebick led the way for Duke with 27 points. The Kansas Jayhawks, as expected, topped off their Big 12 season with a conference crown, beating Iowa State 80-72, thanks to 51 combined points from guard DJ Outlaw and big man Nigel Powers. Iowa State wing Gianni Giddens led the Cyclones with 25 points. The Creighton Blue Jays are champions of the Big East, as junior forward Reese Freeman erupted for 31 points as Creighton was able to beat DePaul 72-70. DePaul was led by forward Alston Kiba, who scored 18 points and 15 boards in the loss. The Ohio State Buckeyes romped through the Big Ten on the back of a dominant effort from big man Cavante Kennard. The expected top 5 pick scored 22 points while pulling in 12 rebounds and blocking 7 shots in an 80-71 championship win over Michigan. Guard James Napier ended the night with 27 points and 5 assists for the Wolverines. Boise State takes the Mountain West crown off a 76-69 win over San Diego State, but in the losing effort, Aztec forward Damian Chasson flashed NBA upside with 18 points and 8 assists. He's considered by some to be a potential late first-round pick. Up in the Summit League, we had the Battle of the Dakotas, with the South Dakota State Jackrabbits defeating North Dakota State 81-61. Canadian big man Bailey Sampson continues to impress NBA scouts, scoring 27 points with 18 rebounds for South Dakota State, who complete an unbeaten conference season. Javon Boston and Mason Holt put on a show in the Pac-12 championship, but it would be Boston's game-winning three with 1.3 seconds remaining, the final three of his 37-point night, that lifts the Trojans to a Pac-12 title in a 90-87 double overtime win. Holt ended the night with 23 points and 13 assists for the Ducks, but left in the game's second overtime with an ankle injury that is expected to keep him out of the NIT, as Oregon failed to get an at-large bid for the NCAA tournament. Big man Gabe Pettit had 21 points and 13 boards for the Ducks. Finishing things off with the SEC, Georgia pulls off the upset of top-ranked Kentucky, winning 72-65 in overtime. The volume-scoring Quinnipiac transfer guard Lamont Appling led the Bulldogs to the win, scoring 24 points and dishing out 4 assists. Highly touted Kentucky forward Baron Hunter struggled for just 12 points on 4 of 18 shooting, while guard Brody Walls finished with 21 points. And that's all the scouting we have for today. Stay tuned for next episode when we go over March Madness and finish up all the storylines, including international prospects, and there are definitely some intriguing ones. And once all the storytelling is done, I will share you guys my draft board and tell you guys who I might be targeting. 1 month left in the season now, and we lose to the Heat at home, followed by a loss to Cleveland, and then we ended up beating them the next game. Another Donovan Clingan masterclass. Then we beat the disappointing Magic and Drew Holiday. Cole Anthony showed out, 21 points, 16 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 0 turnovers. That's why we signed him. Make that 3 wins in a row, 92-89 over the Thunder, Kobe White with 27, and then we beat the Wizards. Our whole team was on fire from 3 in this one. With only 10 games remaining for us now, let's take a look at where we stand in the Tankathon. For some reason, this isn't in the perfect order of winning percentage, but you can see we're at 403, which is tied with Phoenix and Oklahoma City, and just above the Los Angeles Clippers. And if I'm being honest, I would really love to drop below the Miami Heat, who sit at 375. So I'm glad they beat us, but our job ain't finished yet. It's time to bring out the Operation Tank lineup. No one in our starting lineup is getting more than 25 minutes. Every active player in the 13-man rotation will get on the floor. For now, I'm keeping the starting lineup as is, though, because I don't want to get too egregious. There is still 10 games left in the season, which could be valuable development time for some of these players. I'm hoping that some of the guys who didn't find their rhythm end the season on a good note, like Patrick Williams or Jaden McDaniels. So they're all still going to play limited minutes, at least for now, until things get more dire. But we really need to stop winning games, and the streak stops at 4, losing by 37 to the Hornets. We almost beat Zach LaVine and the 76ers, but we lose in overtime. And we lose another nail-biter to Buddy Hield and the Milwaukee Bucks. Hield has certainly fit into the Bucks offense nicely, but they might be a little concerned that they just let up 124 points to a tanking Bulls team. And the operation is going as planned. We lose our next 3 to Minnesota, San Antonio, and Atlanta. That Spurs game was an absolute beatdown, a 54-point loss. The Spurs got a little bit of a squad. Keldon Johnson's playing well for them. Obviously, Wembanyama's taken that leap as a sophomore. They signed Nick Claxton. Reza Shea's playing well for them as a rookie. They're one of the better teams in a deep Western Conference. We do end the losing streak here, beating the Wizards again. Then we have 2 games against 2 top Eastern Conference teams that we would expect to lose to, and we do. So we head into our season finale at 30-51, and we will face the Detroit Pistons on the road. And check this out, we're tied with Miami. If we lose and they beat the Pacers in their final game, we can jump ahead of them in lottery positioning. If that were to happen, we would jump into the top 4. That would be huge because the way the NBA lottery works, the lottery determines the first 4 picks. If you don't get into that top 4, your pick is just decided by team record. So having the highest possible chance to get inside that top 4 is always the goal, because if you're inside that top 4, you have a pretty good shot at number 1. Also, lottery positioning means more this season than in a typical one. I announced last episode that the NBA is adding 2 new teams in the offseason. And the way draft positioning for expansion teams works, at least in 2K, is that they're given a fixed spot in the order. They're not participants in the lottery. I can't remember what exactly the number is. I think they're given the number 5 and 6 picks or the 6th and 7th picks. Whatever that number is, if you're a regular lottery team, you do not want to be caught below those expansion teams. Since those expansion teams are guaranteed the number 5 and 6 picks, I think, the difference between the number 4 and number 5 pick in a normal draft this year is going to be the difference between number 4 and number 7. So it's more important than ever to be inside that top 4 this season. Remember when I said I would only bench guys if it was a super desperate situation? I think this is that situation. I am pulling out the ultimate shameless super tank rotation. The Pistons are seeing this and shaking in their boots. We got Rokas Jokubaitis at the 1, Dalen Terry at the 2, Mark Mitchell and Greg Brown the forwards, and Damian Jones at center. We're going to be playing these guys almost the whole game with only 2 guys off the bench in Jet Howard and Ayo Dosunmu. Would it have been fun to play this game? Maybe. I think it's always nice to play the season finale, but I'll just be honest here. It was 2 a.m. I was not having it. I just wanted to get through this season. So we've already seen the last of our Bulls here in Season 2. Almost through 3 quarters, and we're down by 4. So these young guys are putting up a fight. Rokas with 17 points. Greg Brown already has a double-double. I do wish I got to see a little bit of Greg Brown this season. I never called him up. But the Pistons pull away, and it happens how it's supposed to happen. Even though we put out an utterly pathetic lineup, we had some pretty impressive performances. I mean, Rokas dropped 21, 4 steals, playing dang near the whole game. And Greg Brown, 8 for 12 from the floor, double-double with 15 rebounds. Yeah, Greg's a fun player. I wish I didn't forget about him. I think I was too busy trying to get minutes to Mark Mitchell. And yes, the Heat won! They beat the Pacers! That went absolutely perfectly. And that means we indeed jump ahead of them in the probability table. Watch the lottery still put us behind them. That would be hilarious. Okay, the season's now over. I said last year that I would start editing awards and overwriting them to be more realistic because I think 2K has some horrible choices, and they certainly had some this season. But I messed it up. I accidentally exited out of the application, came back in, and all the awards were finalized, so we're just going to have to live with it. One award that was very well deserved was a second straight MVP for Luka Doncic. Cody Williams wins Rookie of the Year for Miami, as expected. Mitchell Robinson takes home Defensive Player of the Year. He was neck and neck with Walker Kessler last year in the running for that award. Probably should have won it last year, but he had a great defensive season and a historically efficient offensive one, which you'll see later. Markelle Fultz wins Sixth Man of the Year. They love to give it to the pass-first point guards. Looks like he joined the Warriors to replace Chris Paul, who retired. And Most Improved Player goes to Asar Thompson of the Detroit Pistons. This is one of the picks that I would have changed if I had the chance to. I don't think Asar deserved it, but we move. And Coach of the Year is none other than J.B. Bickerstaff, who has fully unlocked his guard tandem of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland and propelled his team to the best record in basketball. Executive of the Year goes to Bucks general manager Michael Meyer, who somehow pulled off the Jimmy Butler trade at the draft. The Bucks ended up finishing 55-27, much better than last year. This is who I think should have won Most Improved Player, and I really don't think it's close. Jalen Green increased his points per game by 4.6, improved his three-point efficiency by 68 points, while also shooting career highs from the field and the free throw line. On top of that, he was probably the best player on a team that improved dramatically from last season record-wise. The Rockets are a playoff team now. They did not make the playoffs last year. But instead they gave it to Thompson, who is still far from becoming a star player and still can't shoot. I'm not even sure if he's better than his own brother. Here are the All-NBA selections. I'm sorry if it's a bit hard to read, but since I accidentally lost my progress on the award screens, this is just what we're going to have to work with. I'm in the league history screen right now, which shows you the teams from every year. But this season, it's Ja Morant, Donovan Mitchell, Luka, Giannis, and Jokic. Steph and Trey make the second team, accompanied by Tatum, Embiid, and Josh Giddey again. He makes his second All-NBA team of his career, and I must admit, he's been very, very good. And the third team is Darius Garland, LaMelo Ball, Paul George, Kevin Durant, and Chet Holmgren. This is where I started to have some really big problems, and I really wish I could have changed some of these picks. First of all, Chet Holmgren arguably had a worse season than he did in his rookie year. His shooting percentages went way down, and you do not want to see a big man shooting under 40%. Meanwhile, they could have given it to a guy like Jalen Duren, who averaged a career high in points while shooting almost 30% better than he did. Also, Jalen Duren was named an All-Star for last season, and he was even better than he was last season. The math ain't mathin' to me. It pains me to say it, but I also think Kevin Durant did not deserve to make All-NBA this season. We saw his efficiency take a nosedive, and it's his first season shooting under 50% since 2012. Also, his team yet again disappointed. Even worse than the Suns were the Clippers, and that's why I think Paul George also should not have made it. Instead, they should have given it to Zion Williamson, who's not only scored more points than both of them did at a much higher efficiency, but he also shot 40% from three this year. Albeit at a very low volume, but come on, you get my point. The guy's electric. Amen Thompson makes first team all-defense, not Asar, which kind of proves my point that Asar had no business winning that Most Improved Player award. He's joined by Jalen Suggs and the three towering big men, Wemby, Mitchell Robinson, and Jaren Jackson. And Scoot Henderson makes his second all-defensive second team in as many seasons. Chet Holmgren made it in there with his 2+ blocks a game, but perhaps most impressive is Cody Williams, who made it in his rookie year. Speaking of rookies, here's the all-rookie team, and I was looking for one name here, Donovan Clingan. He wasn't on the first team, which is understandable. I think all 5 of these guys deserve it. Williams, Collier, Wagner, Reza Shea, and Buzelis were all good. Here's the second team. Edwards, Holland, Mintz, Castle, Bronny James. No Clingan in sight. The disrespect. You're telling me Donovan Clingan wasn't better than this guy. Neither were big-time scorers, but Bronny shot under 40%. Okay, Clingan definitely wasn't great either, but he was still close to averaging a double-double, almost 2 blocks as well. I think he still deserved it. Yes, he wasn't great. He shot under 50%, just by a tad. But given his draft position, he was taken 29th. Bronny was taken 4th. I think Clingan was way bigger of a success story. But whatever. I guess the James family is always going to get the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this just means Clingan is going to play with a bigger chip on his shoulder. We finally made it to the postseason, which of course the Bulls are not a part of. Here's what the bracket's looking like. The Warriors and Cavs are the top seeds. A bit of a throwback there. We have Dallas, Denver, and New York, Atlanta rematches from last season. Then we have Boston taking on Philly and Portland taking on Houston. The rest of the teams await the result of the play-in tournament. So my plan here, because we have time this episode, is to get through the play-in and the first round. I'm going to try to find a balance between covering the important, exciting stories and also not being too detailed. I could have left the entire playoffs for next episode, which is going to be the season recap and the first part of the off-season. But I think that would add up to way too long of an episode, so I'm just going to get through the first round here. The play-in teams in the East, Indiana takes on Detroit in the 7-8 game, and then Charlotte and Washington are trying to upset their way into the playoffs. In the West, it's San Antonio versus LA for the right to play Memphis in the first round, and then Sacramento and Phoenix round out the 9 and 10 seeds. A quick look at the final regular season records. Cleveland finishes 62-20. That's tops in the league, but overall, the Eastern Conference outside of the top 3 teams was very, very shallow. A lot of teams hovering around 500. And the 7-seed Pacers being below 500 is not a good look. Meanwhile, the West had a lot more 50-win teams, but the Lakers managed to make it into the top 8 at 38-44. That's a little bit ugly, but it looks like the top 7 teams all look fairly evenly matched. And look at the Trailblazers, who finished 3rd place. They improved immensely from last year. 55-27 is really impressive given their youth. The Suns managed to squeeze into the play-in at 36-46. Definitely not a good season. I mean, the only reason they got there is because they won their last 5 games of the season, so they were 31-46 at one point. Also, if you look all the way down at the bottom of the standings, the only team in the West that was worse than us was the Utah Jazz. So Utah, Toronto, and Brooklyn are the only teams with a higher probability for number 1 pick. So who you guys got winning the championship? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, injuries will be a major deciding factor in who wins and who loses. We already know the Celtics will be without Kristaps Porzingis, who's out with a broken vertebrae. But the Cavs are also going to miss Donovan Mitchell for a good amount of time. He pulled his calf at the end of the regular season. So at least for the beginning of the playoffs, maybe the first couple rounds, Darius Garland is going to have to be the main source of offense, which he is more than capable of being. I mean, he's become one of the best players in the league. LeBron James isn't quite done yet. Lakers just need to win the one play-in game over the Spurs and they're into the playoffs. But the final regular season game for LeBron was kind of a clunker. 9 points in 24 minutes. Kobe would never. And it was against Steph Curry and the Warriors too. The Lakers did not have a strong finish to the season, and now they have an uphill battle. 2 of their starters are missing, with D'Angelo Russell out for the season and Vanderbilt missing extended time as well. Some other notable things that happened during the season. The Nets hired Eric Spoelstra at the end of the season, firing their old coach Emile Jefferson. This is effectively going to do nothing at all, as it was only a 1-year deal and Spoelstra will hit the open market again, but maybe it's a bit of a trial run, and maybe he's already expressed desire to return and build a new dynasty there. I love the chaos that 2K AI comes up with sometimes. Here's a quick look at the all-time record books. Steph Curry broke his own record for 3-pointers in a season, and he absolutely blows it out of the water with 469. He also came close to doing it last season, but came just 10 short of his old record. Also, Buddy Hield knocked down 365 threes, and that's good for number 5 all time. What a season it was for him. I think Milwaukee hit the jackpot, trading 2 first-rounders for him. Thank you for your service, Buddy. There were also a bunch of other guys that jumped into the top 10 list. Donovan Mitchell hit 364, Tyler Hero got in there, Damian Lillard got in there as well. Mitchell Robinson shot 78% from the field, by far the highest in NBA history. He had already gotten onto the leaderboard back in 2023, but now he sits atop the field goal percentage throne. Also, Jalen Duren made the top 10. Shout out to him. Damian Lillard put together an incredible season, punctuated with 5 50-point games. That is a top 10 all-time number. And for his career, he now enters the top 5 all-time. 19 of them. Steph Curry has 16. LeBron finishes his career with 14. But we'll see if anyone ever breaks the record he set with 41,859 points. What a career. He also played the second most games in history, falling just short of Robert Parrish. He also finishes top 5 all-time in triple-doubles. Jokic has already surpassed him, though. Russell Westbrook broke 200. And Luka Doncic is already top 10 all-time with 77. One more thing. This wasn't even for this year, but I have to shout out Anthony Simons, who shot 95.6% from the free throw line last season. He's the only player to get a top 10 all-time mark so far in this franchise. Now we can finally begin postseason basketball, starting with the Western Conference play-in. Winner of this game between Lakers and Spurs plays the Grizzlies. LeBron, no good. Talen Horton-Tucker, he's had a great season for these Lakers, now starting at the point guard position. LeBron to AD down low. Fourth quarter, Lakers down 4. LeBron heaves, falling away, hits the high arcing three. Lakers now in the lead. LeBron and AD have to carry this team. They don't have a lot of depth. AD goes at Wembanyama there, draws the foul, and Wemby is pissed. Tempers flaring up. Both teams want to win badly. Claxton has to bring him back down to earth. Close game with 3 minutes remaining. LeBron fadeaway at the shot clock buzzer. Lakers still lead narrowly, under 30 seconds. James double team, dishes to Davis. Good! AD hits the jumper. 2-possession game now. Keldon Johnson hits a 3 to keep the Spurs in it. Talen Horton-Tucker misses one of the free throws. Leaves the door open. Spurs playing hot potato. Wemby pulls. No good. Lakers advance as the 7 seed. Talen Horton-Tucker had a monster game for the Lakers. So did Austin Reeves, and to be honest, it was a very impressive win for the Lakers considering AD and LeBron had a quiet night. Meanwhile, Wemby went off for 32 and 17 with 5 blocks, but he and the Spurs will fight for their playoff lives against the Sacramento Kings. Lauri Markkanen, my goodness, an all-time great performance, 58 points. Sabonis had a 19-18-15 triple-double. The Kings looked dangerous, and they made easy work of the Suns. Matas Buzelis did not suit up for Phoenix. Even if he did, though, I don't think there was any stopping Markkanen that night. Poor Lauri, man, he won't be able to make any contract bonuses off of that game. Same thing that happened to Kobe White. But the Spurs managed to neutralize the high-powered Kings offense, destroying them by 45. Keldon Johnson had a fantastic 39-point performance. Lauri Markkanen this time was held to a measly 13. And the Spurs advanced to play the 1-seed Golden State Warriors. Another throwback matchup. It's 2016 all over again. Now we move to the East play-in, where the Pacers and Pistons are tied. 4 seconds left. Halliburton kicks out to Mathurin. 3 is good! At the buzzer! The young Mathurin with a cold-blooded 3. What a moment for the Pacers. I mean, it's understandable to want to double Halliburton, but he's going to find the open man every time. And Benedict Mathurin is not someone you want to leave open with the game on the line. So Indiana advances to play 2-seed Milwaukee, and the 10-seeded Washington Wizards advance past the Hornets to play Detroit for the 8th seed. A sensational game for Isaiah Collier, and he does it again against the Pistons. Collier, one of the league's brightest young rookies, making his presence felt as he wills his team to the playoffs. Round 1 can finally begin. And it starts with the Wizards miraculously leading in Cleveland in Game 1. No more. Tied at 99. Garland floats it home, gives the Cavs the lead, and he has 50 points. Patrick Baldwin, PB&J, takes the lead back for Washington, but Garland responds. He is a playoff killer, 53 points in Game 1. Corey Kispert to Bilal Coulibaly, sinks the 3. Wizards hanging in there. Cavs are missing Donovan Mitchell, but they do have that guy. Evan Mobley slams it in for the lead. Collier pulls up for the win. It's off. And the Cavs hang on and avoid the upset. They needed every one of those 53 points from Darius Garland to get that victory. How did the Wizards stay close with a team they were so clearly outmatched by, you may ask? Well, the answer is by taking a lot of threes. They attempted 63 of them. But teams that live by the 3 also die by it, and the Cavs had enough of the BS and beat them by 52 in Game 2. Garland with another incredible performance, followed by an even better one in Game 3. Garland puts together the first 60-point playoff game since Michael Jordan in 1986. And he does it on 29 shots with 13 assists as well. When I said he's become one of the best players in the league, I was not lying. And he's not done yet. Another 40-point game in Game 4. The Wizards took them into overtime, but the Cavs seal the sweep. I really want to say this team looks unbeatable because they have a guy who's on an all-time hot streak, but at the same time, why are they playing close games against the Wizards? But they await the winner of New York versus Atlanta, a series that's starting to become very common, and the Hawks win Game 1 and Game 2. Trae Young's been in a groove, and he seems to have great chemistry with Bam Adebayo, and they do it again, going up 3-0. Surviving a 49-point outburst from Jalen Brunson. But staring down elimination, the Knicks are able to get the Game 4 victory. Then they win Game 5. Great performance from Julius Randle. And in Game 6, Brunson puts up 41 and 10. The Knicks win yet again, and all of a sudden this series is tied. Could it actually happen? Julius Randle and 1 over Kwame Evans Jr. And the Knicks are up by 10 in the Garden in Game 7. Trae Young quiets the crowd with a 3, but Brunson goes right at him and finishes through the contact. It's looking like it really might happen, guys. Brunson stops in a dime and sticks it. 13-point game, under 2 minutes to go. Brunson off a screen, floats it. It's good! And just like that, the Knicks complete the first 3-0 comeback in NBA playoff history. Brunson putting the team on his back yet again, 35 and 12. And what a collapse it was for the Hawks. Trae Young shot 9 of 28, and no one could stop the Knicks down low, including Bam Adebayo. Moving on to the other half of the Eastern Conference bracket, the Bucks beat the Pacers in a pretty boring, lopsided series. Giannis put together this 40-point triple-double in Game 2, and Milwaukee cruised past them in 5 games. The Sixers and Celtics also wrote another chapter of the rivalry. Philly was able to win Game 3 at home, but that was the only game they would win, as the Celtics made easy work of them. Kyle Kuzma didn't do much in this Game 5, but he was great for them in the other 3 wins, proving to be a really good trade acquisition. So it'll be Bucks-Celtics in the second round. Over in the West, it's the 1-8 matchup. Golden State-San Antonio. And this is a close Game 1. Draymond just slammed it on Wemby. But Wemby goes right back at him and scores down low. Tie game at 99. Steph Curry misses a 3. Spurs can take the last shot. Wemby goes to the free throw line early. Draymond, one of the best defenders of the generation, but even he can't do much about 7'4". Wemby missed both free throws though. The Warriors had 1 timeout left, and the greatest shooter of all time, Steph Curry, for the win, rattles out. And we get free basketball here in Game 1. These 2 teams are more evenly matched than the seeding suggests, but the Warriors get out to a narrow lead here in the extra period. Klay Thompson catches fire. He's got 37. Thompson again as the shot clock expires. He's still got it. Andrew Wiggins swishes it. And the Spurs can't keep up with the shooting of Golden State. Wemby scores inside. 5-point game. Thompson a 3. Again! 8-point game. Wemby goes behind the back and sinks a 3 to cut it to 2. This is a great finish. Wemby tries another. No good this time. He needed that. And Golden State ends up winning this one by 8. The Splash Brothers put together a vintage display, combining for 76 points. But San Antonio gets back at them in Game 2 and steals home court advantage. Golden State was able to take Game 3 on the road, but in Game 4 it's going down to the wire once again. Wemby with a fadeaway. He's had a quiet night so far. Steph Curry's harassed by a double team and he throws it away to Looney, who's standing out of bounds. That gives Wemby another chance, and he takes advantage of it. And one over Draymond Green. Steph Curry responds with a 3. And that is the 13th of the game for him, an NBA record for three-pointers in a playoff game. He's congratulated for his achievement. Maybe celebrating a little too much, though. They got to try to win this game. Wemby catches it down low and slams it home. Look like a wide receiver or a tight end right there. Draymond, good for 3. Spurs up 2. Trey Jones knocks down the free throws. Warriors need 3. Wiggins out to Green. He puts it in. Tie game with 9.4 on the clock. Wemby with one last shot. He puts it up. No good. And another overtime game. In overtime now, Green's shot is erased by Nicholas Claxton. Reza Shea on the other end puts it in from deep. A Wembanyama and Claxton front court is one of the best shot-blocking tandems ever. Looney dunks it home, but Clay can't take the lead with a 3. He's now fighting an injury. Wembanyama gets free for a dunk. Spurs up by 5. Curry throws it away. Claxton intercepts the pass. Jones inside to Wemby. And San Antonio ties the series up. I told you this is not a typical 1-8 matchup. Wemby did almost all of his damage in the second half. Goes for 24 and 13 with 3 steals and 4 blocks. Fends off a 45-point, 13-3 performance from Steph Curry. But Golden State answers, pulling away in the fourth quarter to win Game 5. But this series is going to 7. Keldon Johnson leads the Spurs to a victory in Game 6. And the Warriors are back on upset watch. Claxton dunks it home, and the foul. Now Reza Shea laces a 3, and that gives the Spurs a little bit of a lead heading into quarter number 4. 98-94, Draymond Green continues his hot stretch from three-point land. Andrew Wiggins is also playing really well, and the Warriors are back on top. Reza Shea passed to himself off of Draymond Green's head and rises up for a throwdown. I think he just did that for show. Steph Curry knocks down a 3. Nearing the 6-minute mark, Curry not taking his foot off the gas. So many lead changes, and another one. Wemby gets it to go from deep. Reza Shea with a pinpoint pass inside to Chris Middleton. And he's fouled by Draymond Green. Another and one. And the Spurs rattle off a 14-0 run in 2.5 minutes. Wiggins hits the 3, but the Warriors are in trouble. Draymond slams it down. 7-point game with 2 minutes to go. Wemby! Through the contact. And that's the game and the series. San Antonio takes down the number 1 seeded Warriors. What a way for this young team to put the league on notice. Everyone who played scored 8 points or more. Wemby had 29 with 13 boards. Awesome stuff. We saw Miami do this in 2023, finishing the regular season as the 7th seed, losing a game in the play-in and dropping down to number 8, and then taking down the 1 seed in the first round. How far is this thing going to go? With the way they looked against Golden State, they look like one of the best teams in the league. They will face the winner of the series between the Mavericks and the Nuggets. It sure looks like it's going to be the Mavs because they just went up 3-0 with a 25-point win in Game 3. But as we saw with the Knicks, you never know. The Nuggets do avoid the sweep in Game 4, winning by 1 point. But they can't catch a break. Jokic goes down with a twisted knee, and he will not be able to play in Game 5. And that was the backbreaker for Denver. They lose by almost 40. Luka and Kyrie look like they're both at the top of their games right now. Our next first-round series has the potential to be pretty lopsided. It's an old, beaten-down Lakers squad against a Grizzlies team who made the finals last year and looks just as good. The Grizzlies win easily in Game 1, but you can never count out the king. LeBron played really well in his first playoff game. Let's see if he can will his team to some victories. And won't you know it, they're putting up a fight in Game 2. We're in overtime now as the Lakers lead by 2. Morant blocked, gets it back, and gives it out to Marcus Smart, who hits a 3. Grizzlies in the lead, pick and roll to Jaren Jackson Jr. Good chemistry between him and Ja. Can the Lakers answer? Austin Reeves finishes inside. Now they're down 3 again with the shot clock turned off. LeBron, pass is deflected. Hachimura blocked. They tried to go for the 2. That did not look pretty. And that spells their doom. LeBron really needs to start taking these shots. He needs to stop passing the ball up in late game situations, because his teammates are consistently doing him dirty. LeBron and AD had fantastic games, but they can't do it all by themselves. But as the series shifts to LA, let's see if they can make it interesting. The Lakers win Game 3, as they only allow 102 points to Memphis. And they tie the series at 2 apiece. LeBron fouled out of this game in only 19 minutes, but AD, THT, and others are able to pick up the slack, winning this one in a nail-biter. Game 5 is another decisive victory for the Lakers. Winning by 20 on the road, dominant game from Anthony Davis. 4 steals, 4 blocks. LeBron had 21 and 7, and the win ensures at least one more game in LA for LeBron James. He gets that hook to go, and he had a great game, but the rest of his team did not show up. Down 11, under a minute to go. This series is going to 7 games. Memphis wins by 15, and LeBron walks off the court in LA for what could be his final time. Not a great showing from the Lakers outside of LeBron, but the fact that they're even in this position is pretty miraculous, and it speaks to LeBron's greatness. AD had a really bad game. He shot 6 of 21. It's hard to believe that these injury-ravaged, inconsistent Lakers are going to be able to give the Grizzlies one last run for their money, but you never know. And the Grizzlies cruise to the win in Game 7. Lakers just ran out of gas. And the better team won, to be honest. But that is the end of the illustrious career of LeBron James, who walks off the court having given it everything he's got for the last 21 years. He just didn't have it tonight, only scoring 14, but taking the defending Western Conference champions to 7 games is not a bad way to go out. Desmond Bane was great, 30 points, 5 steals. Ja Morant almost had a triple-double, and Nikola Vucevic is giving this team quality minutes too. That leaves only one more first-round series, and it's between the Rockets and the Blazers. 2 young, hungry teams trying to establish themselves. Portland was able to win the first 2 games, but at the end of Game 1, Anthony Simons went down with an injury. That's major for Portland, although they do have quite a bit of guard depth. The Rockets end up coming back home and tying the series at 2 apiece. All of the games in this series were defensive grinders. And Game 5 was no different, with the Rockets again coming out on top. Jalen Green showing why he deserved the Most Improved Player award. But more bad news for Portland. Lonzo Ball broke his ankle in Game 5. You gotta feel for the kid. Ant Simons actually came back for the Blazers in Game 6, but the Rockets finished them off. Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, and Alperen Şengün all had incredible series, and they move on to face the Grizzlies. The second round matchups are now set after a wildly entertaining first round and play-in. I hope you guys enjoyed all that. Please let me know who you think's going to win it all in the comments section. Thank you guys for making it with me through another season of the Bulls franchise. Hope to bring you many more, at least until 2K shuts down their servers for 2K23. Hopefully the Bulls will have won a championship by then. Next episode is going to be really fun. We're going to finish up scouting. We're going to see what happened in March Madness. We're going to see what happens at the end of the playoffs, who wins the championship, and then we're going to preview the offseason and discuss our big plans. I honestly think the rebuild is in a great spot, and I think we can climb out of it pretty quickly. I'm happy we could get a top 4 probability in the lottery. Hopefully that goes our way because I would love the number 1 pick. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to another video. If you like what you see, I would love if you could subscribe, comment, recommend me to a friend, or even turn the bell on for notifications. Looking forward to finishing off the playoffs and beginning the offseason with you all in the next episode. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you then.